Great. Then welcome to everybody, board members, parents, and public, as well as our superintendent and principal. I'm Doug Houston, chair for Irvine International Academy. This is our October scheduled board meeting, 6:02 on October 26th. So again, welcome everybody. We're going to begin just a great agenda today, lots of information and some training as well with roll call. Would board members signify they're present when I call your name? First, Brett Freeman.
Present.
Thank you. And Glenn Rogers.
Present.
Thank you. Edward Watson.
Present.
And Ethan Kay.
Present.
And of course, I'm Doug Houston, present as well. Unable to attend, at least at this time, they possibly could join later, is Dr. Jolene Smith and Miller Zhang. And if they join, we'll acknowledge them when they do. We do have a quorum. And so first on our agenda will be public comments. And it worked very well last time. We're getting better and better. And so I think the parents especially and public. The way it will work is we allocate about 3 minutes for public comments. If your public comment is related to something on the agenda, you'll hear us address your specific either issue or question when that comes up in the agenda. If it's not on the agenda, we're not being rude, but we won't be able to address it because we didn't forecast it that we'd be talking about it, but we will pick it up on a following meeting and or communicate directly with you. And boy, it worked out great last time. Thanks parents for being both patient, but then also stepping forward when you were ready to speak as well by unmuting your microphone and then introducing yourself and what's on your mind. So open comments, I'll ask the question, who'd like to be first? If it's you, please unmute your microphone and state your name. If two people go at the same time, I'll use Mary Beth to help me choose who goes first. Who'd like to be first? And I recognize sometimes a bit of silence can feel awkward, but the patience will pay off because sometimes just the technology can set us back a handful of seconds too. There may not be public comments tonight, that's okay, but we don't want to miss any if there are. And so I'll go ahead and say again, is there someone like to have a public comment? Would you go ahead and unmute and state your name?
I guess I'll go first, Doug.
Thank you.
All right, so my name's Edwin Chu. My comments, I just wanted to, first I would like some clarity on the Larry and Helen Hogue Foundation grant of $50,000. Mr. Scott sent an email on September 16th saying $26,000 was spent on instruments, where he cited 9 keyboards and saying kindergartners are beginning keyboarding. But my comment on that is my kindergartner at IIA has actually never seen a piano or keyboard at school. So I just think $26,000 for 9 keyboards is kind of a lot. So I'm just wondering, were there other instruments ordered? If so, what are they? Where are they? What are they used for? Also, where were these instruments purchased from? Were there bids made or were there multiple sources looked at? Because I actually found the keyboards at school and I looked up the model number on Amazon and they're $699 each, $700 each. And then I had emailed you guys all about something about this. And then Mr. Scott sent me the letter that he received that was dated April 4th, 2021, that he received from board member Brett Freeman. I think Brett is on the board of the Hogue Foundation too, but either way, this letter acknowledged the $50,000 grant, and it said that the grant money was intended for library books, music instruments, fencing, and funds to assist in hiring needed faculty or administrators. So I know at the last special board meeting, you guys discussed hiring 2 new aides for about $13K each. So I was just wondering, and you guys approved that budget, but I was just wondering, why not use that 24K left from the grant for it instead of the surplus? Unless that was planned to buy more instruments, I don't know. But my opinion, maybe keeping a surplus is more important for in case of emergency. And then the last board meeting, you guys also mentioned an off-site special ed teacher. I do think IAA should have someone on site. So I was just wondering if there's any updates on the hiring process. So just simply just update on that. And then finally, I just wanted to remind the board why I seem to ask a lot of questions related to transparency. You may recall that I spoke to you at the August 31st meeting about my Scott. Those concerns stemmed from what I felt was blatant disregard about COVID safety at IAA. After speaking to him one-on-one, him posting misinformation in the classrooms about masks elevating CO2 levels, him also not wearing a mask or following the protocols that he put out. So after my interactions with Mr. Scott, I've actually come not to trust him or his decisions with the school. I have mentioned this to you guys before. My family, as well as others at IAA, are at the school because we do like Principal Chong, and we know that his background included running a successful Mandarin immersion school. However, I am aware that Mr. Scott has a background of a failed charter school due to financial mismanagement and teachers not being paid. So I've continued to speak to this board because I assumed that the board is the entity to ensure that Mr. Scott's decisions do not derail the school. So I know, thank you, Doug, for your recent responses to my emails. I do appreciate that. I choose to email the board or speak here because I just don't want to speak to Mr. Scott one-on-one, as I have done once. I don't trust him, and I also don't suggest other parents do it one-on-one. Maybe have someone else go with you. I continue to question any decisions he makes for IAA. And so I'm just asking the board, please question those decisions made too, such as the prior questions I had about the grant and hirings. FYI, I know that I can choose to go to another school. However, at this time, my child has made a lot of really great friends, and a child of that age, that young, they wouldn't comprehend why we're pulling her out. She would just see us as taking her away from her friends. And this is why I try to follow up with what's going on with the school, decisions being made, how funds are spent, and just asking the board to monitor Mr. Scott's decisions for IAA. So that's all. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you too. And I know two of the topics, while they're not per se board actions tonight, they'll come up on the superintendent update. So you'll get a couple of clarifications on those. Great, thank you, Edwin Chu. Who'd like to be next? Is there another parent that has comments tonight?
I'll go.
Thank you. Is it Kong?
Yes, my name is Kong. I think I just want to express my appreciation and my gratefulness to the school. To me, from late last year, when I read the RA's description and Dr. Scott's vision from my bedroom in Boston, and I'm immediately sold, because to me, I've seen a lot of Chinese schools. Okay, so to me, this is not your typical Chinese school. To me, this is not like a Panda Express. This is the real thing. This is where I rather have my child be at. That's the reason we moved to Irvine. And after joining school, after meeting Steve Chong and see his execution, and I still have very strong belief in the school. And I don't imagine my child being anywhere else, even in the United States. We came here from a private school, and we're not going back, I can tell you that. And I have strong, I don't know why some parents like Edwin have been targeting Dr. Scott many times. I don't feel comfortable, because if there's no Dr. Scott or Stephen Chong, we're not here. And your child will not have the opportunity to be part of this amazing school and amazing chance. So even you think, or some parents think, some teachers are not doing a good job, because today you're targeting one person, tomorrow you can target another person. And it sounds like accusation to me. I don't like it. And if you think someone is not doing a good job, I think you should work with him. you should be partnership with them, help them improve. And we're all here to help IIA to improve. No one is perfect. I think that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Who would like to be next? Is there another parent as well?
Can I go next?
Oh, thank you. Is that Donna Lee?
It's Tong Yong
Oh,
McNally.
I'm sorry. Two went. Let's go Tung first and then Donna Lee. I think you're unmuted. How about we do you second? If you're willing to wait.
So, okay, my name is Tong Yong McNally. I'm parent of 2 third graders. And I think probably Principal Chuang has brought up to you about the doors and the lighting in the classrooms. I just would like the board to kind of put these the kind of priority. It's like it's also becoming a safety issue. We just had like a fire drill today, and obviously classrooms with no doors we cannot close. So it's just God forbidden if we ever have to go into a lockdown and these classrooms cannot be closed, safely enclosed. So that's really it. And apart from that, obviously there's the noise issue. And so if we can somehow put this on, we do understand that we have to go through many layers. But if we can somehow come up some solution, because we are like halfway through the school year, and so that one, and also the lightning, and if we can somehow, because I think the classroom need 2 lightning systems. One is a main light and some kind of backlight when the teacher is showing the screen. Right now, our teacher's solution is we got a whole bunch of, the parents bought a whole bunch of those clip-on lamps, and that kind of itself bring in other issues like wires, kids trip over the wires, and also in the middle of the class, kids have to stand up. So the main switch is actually in the back of the classroom. So we switch over the big lights, and then we have some kids have to turn on the side light. So, the classroom won't become totally dark in the background. Now that kind of brings in another issue, because kids in the back of the classroom, because there's no door, if it's completely dark, some kids actually sneak out in the back. The teacher didn't even know. So that's kind of that's why another reason we decided we need some light, in the thing. So that's basically the 2 issues. We hope the board can put this on the priority, and we do understand that we have to go through many layers, but just that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you as well. And I'm involved with the doors, so I'll at a future meeting give a update on that. And then thank you for raising the lighting. We'll investigate that one. Thank you very much. Was there Donna Lee? Did you have comment tonight?
Hi, Doug. I'm here.
Well, thank you.
Sure. Thank you. My question is really more I'm not sure what the procedure is that we as parents can get our questions addressed, because we come to the board meeting once a month and then we speak up during the public comment section just to have the board say thank you next, which I understand why. But then we email to get questions to get added onto the agenda, and that does not get answered. Then we used to be able to use Zoom chat to ask our questions, and that's been removed. And my understanding is in a Mandarin immersion program, half the parents, I imagine, are more Mandarin speaking than English speaking. So a lot of them are probably more comfortable typing their questions out in Chinese and then going to Google Translate to translate, copy, paste, and stick it into the Zoom chat. But by taking the Zoom chat feature away, you've essentially shut up half the school. And then we also asked for a town hall that was also denied. So what is the proper way for parents to get our questions addressed or our voices heard?
Great question. I'll do a email to all parents. I did an email not too long ago with the answers to the types of questions that can be answered by different people within the school and then in the board in particular for policy. You will hear today some of the questions that were raised last week addressed in our update section. So there's a combination, obviously. Some will be the following board meeting, some will be answers back. And on the town hall idea, I replied back on that one, but I'll make that part of the broader communication as well. I do like what you said about Chinese, the comfort level in typing in Chinese first and then presenting a written translation too. And those emails can always come to the board related to policy. They can come to the board for any purpose, but we prefer to the policy, not the operational level. That would be superintendent principal. I'll resend an email that I sent to a few more broadly that clarifies how to get the answers. But thank you for raising that up. It's important. We do not want communication just going one way from people to us and never getting an answer. Neither do we want to just project information. We want a dialogue within the boundaries we have of communicating as individuals and a board at once. So yeah, thank you for raising that up. Who else would I like to be next? Would you unmute and identify yourself?
Hey, Doug, this is Steve.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question just to piggyback on what Donna said?
Yes.
Okay, so I know that IUSD board, for example, they allow kind of written comments. So if you wanted to write your name and the comment, they could submit that even if they can't attend the board meeting. So I wonder if that could be a possibility going forward.
That's a great idea. And you know what, Mary Beth, let's do that for our next meeting. What we'll do is we'll figure, because in this Zoom world, it's a little tricky, but I think together we could manage that. And great suggestion, Steve. Donna, thank you. I think that will go a long way. Okay. Would like to be next? Are there others? I see Vivian may have unmuted her microphone. Vivian, are you next?
Yes, I just had a quick question. I believe we talked about STAR assessments probably a couple sessions ago, and I was just wondering about what the status of that. When will the children be, assessed with the STAR assessments?
Oh, this is state testing you're asking about?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take note on that. And Principal Chung probably has the schedule and can communicate to you and the parents broadly about state testing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
The answer, I would just tell you right now, but I don't. By the way, traditionally, my schools that I've been involved in do it in the spring, but I'll leave that to Principal Chung when it's time. Thank you. Anyone? Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
Do you want me to answer the question right
Yeah,
now?
why not? It's a little less than perfect.
Okay.
I'd rather have the answer.
Yes, for elementary school, so only the 3rd grade and 4th grade, 5th grade and up will be assessed with the state assessment CASP. And usually it starts from early March into late May. So to answer your question regarding the state assessment.
Thank you. That's really
Thank you.
helpful. Thank you. Any other parents or public at this time?
I have a comment.
Is that Lynn?
Yes, it is.
Yes, please.
This is to reference the last board meeting when someone, I think one of the board member talked about psychiatrists. I'd like to make a comment that I really believe that we need a on-site school psychologist or therapist or counselor of some sort, because my children are coming home and telling me issues that are going on in their classroom about behaviors amongst the students that I've never heard of from my kids' other school. So I'm not sure if this is because of COVID, but it's very concerning as a parent to hear some of the things that are happening, that they're doing to each other, that they're doing at school itself. So I'd like to strongly suggest that the board have some sort of counselor on site where the kid that they can communicate with the kids to address some behavioral issues. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Who else? Anyone else at this time? By the way, I'll remind you that Mary Beth, as well as I, take notes on these so that we can follow up on anything that we discuss in the meeting. Another moment. It looks like on or Ann.
Yeah, and or on, either way. I just want to voice my opinion because I think one of the agenda you guys have is the immunization of the child. And I just want to voice my opinion. I'm not opposed vaccine, but I'm opposed vaccine that has no long-term, study and thorough, study and effect that we don't even know what are the compositions. So I want to kind of voice my concern that do I have control over what's going to be injected to my children's body? And I know there's some exemption that you can file. So I want to listen more to what you guys going to talk about later. So that's it. It's shorter than 3 minutes.
Doug, you're muted.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you. That'll be on the agenda for discussion. No action tonight, but hearing your view is appreciated too. Is great. Anyone else at this time? Don't want to miss anybody if there is. Well, again, thank you for that part of our meeting. It's probably the most valuable, honestly, to us as board members. And so thank you.
Hey, excuse me, may I also raise an issue, or I have to do it like before? My name is, okay, yes. So I realized that the intersection of Karen and Len and Yao. So I think there might be some potential traffic issue because every time on that line when all the parents are trying to make a left turn to go to the line, right? And then sometimes there's people like walking across the way without checking, and sometimes people on their headphone and running to the park, and the bush is like half person tall, and I wonder if the school can raise the issue to the Department of Transportation or the city, and to see if they can put up a stop sign, add a stop sign on Yao. And I don't know if other parents observe that issue, because all the cars waiting to make the left turn, they will watch the traffic on Yale without watch the people crossing that street.
Thank you. Yes, we'll take note of that and follow up. Thank you. Generally, if one parent has an issue, you can trust that there's a number of others that may not have the opportunity to speak. So thank you for sharing that with us. You can be confident there'll be others besides you that are wondering about that.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Tang.
Sorry, Doug, can I ask a quick question?
Sure, I'm looking around. Sorry, I don't know who it is yet.
It's Rihanna.
Oh, thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, just really quick one. A few board meetings ago, I had mentioned about the outdated website. I'm just looking to see, is there a status on that? Because I do see it's still quite outdated, unfortunately. The budget's not really online. I think there's talks of board member infos being on there, but that's not really on there. So just a general update would be, I would appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Rihanna. When you get a chance, just on this, go to the website and go to a tab called About Us and Accountability. If it has information, if it doesn't, you may have to refresh your browser or clear it. But take a look at that, then communicate with me if it hasn't been updated. At least you don't see the updates because it has. So thank you. It could be a browser issue or just finding it. But if you'd go to that tab about us and then accountability, let me know if that satisfies. Thank you very much. It's important to know that you were heard and that we were able to get some action going on that.
You see it's there, but it's the old version. And the school calendar, it's old too.
Interesting. Okay, I'll look into it. Thank you.
You.
Yeah, we'll take a look into that. Great. Well, let's then, if there's no more public comments, there's a very brief, about 2 minutes closed session. And so I'll just invite parents and public to remain. In that closed session, our topic is an update regarding an investigation we commissioned in anticipation of litigation. We'll report out the status, but Brett Freeman will be leading the discussion. Mary Beth, are you able to put us into a closed session room? And again, I anticipate really no more than 2 minutes, and we'll be back moving through our agenda.
Chairman Doug, this is Ethan. Before we do a breakout session, my question is, should this be board members only?
Is that a question for me, Ethan?
No, Chairman Doug. Is guess not.
Ethan, that's for only the board members.
Typically, closed session is for anybody that the board chair invites into closed session. So it doesn't only have to be board members, but if that's the chairperson's desire, then that's what it is.
Nick, are you going to be in the closed session for today?
I was invited in.
Okay. Nick,
Do we know who was invited in that was not a board member?
it was Nick Driver.
Only Nick?
Uh-huh.
Mr. Scott and the principal too?
I'm not in the closed session.
Oh, okay. Is Mr. Scott there too?
Yes, he is.
Any parents besides Ed?
Maribeth, he's not a board member.
Oh. Okay. Brett Freeman and Ed Watson are parents.
Oh yeah, Brett too. But Mr. Scott is not a board member, but he was invited in, you said.
I think he's usually a part. Oh yeah, he's usually a part of it, but
And I think that Nick Driver said that the chair, which is Doug, chooses.
mhm. Principal Trong, do you know if Dr.
No,
Scott?
he shouldn't be there.
Okay. I was just informed that Dr. Scott was invited into the closed session because there are other items to be discussed.
Thanks, Mary Beth.
No problem.
Oh, great. Thank you. My apology if we went a couple extra minutes. Thank you, board members. No reportable action from our discussion. So we'll move on then with our agenda. Next, we have our Pledge of Allegiance. I'd love to lead that if everybody's willing. And so if you would like to participate, please place your hand over your heart and ready, begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Board members, you received minutes from the prior meeting. It was a special meeting. Could I have a motion to approve our last minutes? I'll make the motion to approve our prior minutes. I have to unmute to second it. Is want to second it, but not getting unmuted? I see the hand gesture.
Mary Beth, are the board members unmuted?
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Glenn. Creative.
Sorry, let me.
Thank you, Glenn. All in favor of approving minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Okay, minutes are unanimously approved. Thank you. We really neat, and this is great for parents. We have a number of brief updates from our superintendent I think you're going to enjoy. I'll just kind of highlight the topics and let our superintendent share an update. Dr. Scott, would you give us a PSP grant reimbursement status, please?
We have spent the planning grant phase, which was $100,000, and there is $500,000 remaining. Last Friday, we had to turn in the plan for the usage of the remainder amount over several years, thanks to Delana's help. And thank you to Miss Wesley, Miss Wesley Caroline. That was turned in on time. Everything was approved, including one item they questioned, which was a die cut machine. And I explained that we need that for the Chinese characters. So they approved it. So we have many things that the school will use for startup: a laminator, a risograph machine that will cut down on the expense of the copying, and many more items. So that went successful.
Thank you. Are you prepared to give us an update also on the results of the state investigation related to our after-school program?
Yes, I am. We had an anonymous person complain to the state that we were running an illegal after-school program, or unlicensed. And the state did a surprise inspection that nobody was aware of, and went through all of our employee records, interviewed 5 people, took down all the information, viewed the school, and then they went to write the report. Here is the results. We came through with flying colors. Again, I'm actually glad the report happened, because it can assure our parents that we're working hard to do everything correctly to the book. And I give real credit to our staff for organizing so well. Here's the last statement as a result of the complaint. This agency has investigated the complaint alleging unlicensed care being provided. We have found that the complaint was unfounded, meaning that the allegation was false, could not have happened, and/or is without reasonable basis. We have therefore dismissed the complaint.
Thank you for the update. Board members, forgive me. I invite you to comment on the PSP grant status, but just know your is hot, just jump in at any point with principals. I'm sorry, for Superintendent Scott. Another topic I think that was on your update list was COVID status, and apparently a COVID case arose. Would you help us understand that? We'll see if board has any questions or clarifications.
Well, we've worked really hard. We've followed some guidelines provided by our parents. We hired Parisha Geshti as our COVID safety officer, and custodian Bill has spent a lot of time cleaning, keeping up everything. The teachers have worked hard. Masks are being worn inside. They're optional outside, of course. Now, nobody wants to test it, but we did get a test. And it didn't originate at the school at all. It originated outside with a parent that passed it to a child. The child went home, wasn't feeling well, was tested and reported positive for COVID. The classroom was fine. Nothing was amiss. And all of our procedures and careful planning were fruitful.
What are you
and that
doing
there was
with
no
my-
other movement of COVID reported at all. And the report was handled perfectly by Ms. Geshti. She contacted all the correct groups in the county, which passed on to the state, following procedures. And she received a phone call from the registered nurse that had been assigned to IIA's COVID positive case, and stated that all parties involved had been contacted. The exposure had been properly documented with both the county and state. She also received an email that stated that the IIA administration had followed the correct state protocol. Here's a direct quote from the email. Quote, "You did everything correctly," end quote. So there's been no subsequent identification of symptoms. We do test children that aren't feeling well, probably the flu, but we don't take a chance. We still test for COVID. Thank you to our health aides for taking care of that. So we passed with flying colors. We never wanted to see it, but it happened, and everything was in place correctly.
Board members, any thoughts? Yes, this is an important issue and topic. I don't want to move on too quick, just in case there's any clarification or comments.
I was just wondering the process, if the student didn't feel well, are they then quarantined? And then testing is done there? Is it one-on-one contact with the health aide and the child, or how are they handled in that instance?
Stephen may have a better answer on how it would began.
So the parents notify the teacher regarding their child contracting COVID-19, and they got it outside of the school. So it's not on site, it's off-site. And then they, when they reach out to the classroom teacher, they already absent for 2 days. So we check all the COVID-19 protocols to make sure who we should contact, how we define the direct contact when this student was at school. And then we send out an email to all families to notify that we do have 1 confirmed cases, and then update that information on our school website dashboard. So I believe our COVID-19 officer, Ms. Geshti, did all the appropriate protocol regarding this confirmed case.
Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Chung, too. That's wonderful. Next, Dr. Scott, could you give us the update on musical instruments, their acquisition, and maybe how much of the grant has been used so far and what remains?
Yes, I'd be happy to. First off, thank you very much for the grant. from the Larry and Helen Hogue Foundation. Just to explain, when a grant is provided to a school, there are legal requirements a school must follow. So when a grant is restricted in certain ways, like must be spent for books, must be spent for music, must be spent for a fence, those are the 3 requirements of the grant. You cannot spend that money on anything else. That would be illegal. Which just brings up one clarification. I'm sorry to bring this up. The last week, we talked about using reserves to hire aides because we can't use the grant for aides. It had to be used for musical instruments. The reserves has to be kept. It's a legal requirement, so we could not follow through on that recommendation. Good news is the PTO has contacted us and they're trying to follow through for us. So just to give you a quick update on that. So on musical instruments of the grant, we've actually been very conservative. There was a misunderstanding. The pianos, good news, are $550 each, much less than the Amazon example. So we did a great job on the purchase. I personally donated 1 computer myself because I got caught up in the excitement. But we've spent $5,772 on the electric piano question, and the other instruments and everything else included, we have spent $14,646.39. So we've carefully watched that the money the grant specified was being spent only on the grant items. Anybody can give to the school. We welcome gifts, and we will respect what they want to spend the money on as well. We won't be spending it on something they didn't ask or clarify for. General gifts, however, let us spend on anything. So if it's not restricted, then we can spend it on other items that are important to the school. But restricted grants have to be spent only on what they are. Just to clarify that. Okay, and I think we're the only school, public school in Orange County that has a piano room, just for instance, but we're very proud of the other instruments that we have bought as well.
Thank you. That's nice. Board members, any thoughts or comments? That was nice because I know that was a couple of parents had questions over time about that. And it's a nice point to clarify. We've been hearing about, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, I thought I heard somebody. We've been hearing about next year, the plans between you and Principal Chung about transitional kinder. Can you give us an update on what we'll do next year?
Yes, it was confirmed to us by Orange County Department of Education. They are our authorizer. Just to clarify, Irvine Unified School District is not our authorizer. We're not in an administrative relationship with them at all. That was their choice, by the way. However, the news is if you have a kindergarten, you have to have a TK. So now that we know that, we will have 1 TK class at least next year. But we are planning on 4 kindergarten classes.
Yep, I know Ethan had inquired about that and importance to him. Any thoughts or questions, board members, on that at this time? 2 more items for our update. One is a topic. Would you share with us the vision I think a parent had, and you share as along with Principal Chung on a jogathon fundraiser?
Yes. One of our teachers suggested a jogathon. Personally, what I like about it is you're not buying something and then inventorying and selling. So it's a great event and a good fundraiser. And they have a friend that does it professionally and is offering to do it for free for us. So the teacher had a great suggestion. We will be taking the donations for the site, for the run. And if the board, we hope to raise $10,000 for the school. And this would again would be general fund that we can use for anything. So I'd love to see if the board wants to move forward with that. I'm all for it. I think it's a great opportunity to be on a school day that will be for PE. So the kids will go out during their PE time to do it. We have a great campus. It's wonderful for this kind of event. We're fortunate.
Board members, thoughts about Jogathon? Maybe you've participated in one before. Would board members be able to participate?
Yes, I'll be there with my cane. I'll be.
You try.
Okay.
So that would be circling the school and sort of a parents or friends and family pay per lap type scenario.
Something like that. Doug had a great idea, though. Did you want to spring your idea, Doug?
I like adding each time the children come around to the start or finish line, adding a bit of a color run aspect where their teachers can splash them with a little, blue powder or red powder or something, so that's just a thought, but I'll leave it to the organizers, but yeah.
Okay, I think it's great.
Great. Thank
Good.
you.
And nice to see our teachers with their investment, sharing their great ideas and contacts. Last update too is Prop 39, which is our lease application with
Doug?
Unify. Oh, go ahead. Someone else?
Doug, I'm sorry, real quick, could I just share something real quick? Because I heard Dr. Scott,
I'm sorry.
Mr.
this
Scott
is
say
just-
something.
This is just for time for the board members. It's not public comment.
But you said that the grant cannot do it, but it says right here that you sent me that funds to assist in hiring needed faculty, not just instruments. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. I think that was included, but thank you, Edwin. Prop 39 is our lease application. We were successful this year, but it's an every year activity. Could you give us the status on that too? Because it's time dependent, and it's amazing how early in a year we prepare for next year.
Before I get to that, I do have a couple of things to report. The board authorized the purchase of computers at the last meeting. The 108 computers were ordered according to the bid process, and they'll soon to be delivered. We also have ordered Renaissance Star. Star is not a state test now. That's a different test. It's a new one. But Renaissance is called Star, and it's an assessment. And the computers will be used to assess all the students in the school on their reading and math so that we can have ongoing assessment until the big state test at the end. Also, one more item, we work on getting the proper people in place, and the school now has a psychologist that was on campus today on site a couple of days a week to help us with our special ed needs. So I wanted to clarify that. Another
If we go
point.
to Prop 39, just board members may want to do this. I just want to say, great job. Those two big items from last meeting are now implemented, and the board was pretty firm about on-site opportunity, and you jumped on it. And the computers, that's a surprise to me. Thank you, Principal Chung. I know you are our tech lead, and to know they're ordered and is pretty great. Board members, any comments from you? I'm just kind of excited.
Yeah, good job.
This is board member Edward. You said there's an on-site school psychologist person now that we were talking about before. So could you just elaborate a little bit more on that, please?
I'll let Stephen elaborate. He worked very hard to make this happen.
Thank you. So we were able to hire experienced school psychologist who has more than 13 years experience, and today is her first day to be able to provide the needed services to our students who either have IEP or have the social emotional needs that need her services. We are lucky to be able to hire this person from an agency. And actually, the name of the agency is on board meeting agenda today to be approved.
Thank you. That's
Hey. Thank you. Good job, Stephen. Somebody mentioned the websites. We are working with them to do it. They haven't been able to get back with the plan yet. I'm going to be considering another group to move forward if we don't have more action quickly. And we'll work on getting updates to the site. Okay, the last item is the Prop 39. And that is done yearly. And I spent a lot of work on it in the last month. It went to the lawyers. The lawyers have returned it. I have more editing to do, but you know, we're almost done. It is due Friday to the district, and that's how we obtain our school site. Last year, we had 160 signatures that I had collected on street corners and parks everywhere. This year, our parents stepped up and we had 325, 95% return, and we still have more still coming in. But you know, eventually you just cut it off and say, okay, I got to do the numbers now. So really great to see how enthusiastic our parents are about having their children continue with IIA.
And this is a yearly activity in terms of the lease, right? So we're only ever able to get 1-year renewals.
That's right, every year, one at a time. I think eventually the district will work out a better arrangement with us, but at this point, we're still 1 year at a time.
Wonderful. Next on our, thank you, Dr. Scott. Next on our agenda is an update on our fiscal and finance committee. Ethan Kay, would you share with us about the finance committee, its meeting, and where we're at?
Wonderful. So every third Thursday of the month we do meet, and I'd like to report back that we are on track, and really from a financial perspective, yeah, we are good to go.
It's a good good word to hear. You had a desire to begin an application to add a parent in the future. Were you able to connect with our PTO president and start the process, or at least make the initial communication?
Yes, I have. I was hoping to have a conversation with him, finalize a conversation last week, but due to some other obligations, so we're going to look to really button this up as soon as possible. But looking forward to adding a parent with the right qualifications on the finance committee to really assist the committee to really dive into some projects.
Mm.
Yep.
So Ethan, did we get a job description, role description off to our PTO president lead so we can help him have him help us find the right person?
Yes, I'm about to shoot it off to him shortly again, but we have yep.
Great, thanks.
I really appreciate you taking the lead on such an important committee. And that's happening with Brett on another committee. And, the team is really starting to form, which is helpful to me. Any other committee questions from board members? I have the advantage of sitting in on that meeting, so I don't have any questions, but you may have. Great. Thank you again, Ethan. Now we move into our board agenda. The first item is training. We have the advantage of Nick Driver, who does just this, consults and trains board members for charter schools. Tonight's topic and training is the Form 700 that's filed with the Fair Political Practices Commission about statement of economic interest when you're serving on a public board or running for public office for that matter. And so Nick, thank you for just your expertise over the first 2 years of starting the charter, but now just helping our board members prepare to file our first Form 700. I'll let you take the training away, and it'll be interactive, board members, if you have questions.
Thank you, Chairman Doug, and good evening, board members and members of the community. This will be a short training, and please do feel free to ask me questions. There are two relevant documents. Both can be found either on the Irvine International Academy website or the Fair Political Practices Commission website. So Form 700 is a form that was created by the Fair Political Practices Commission, which is a state agency, about 25 years ago, and remains in effect, as Doug said, for any person who is running for office or any person who is in office, which includes all of our board members, and any member of the staff at the executive level. So that would include your superintendent and your principal. All of you, therefore, who are any one of those categories, board members, superintendent, principal, are required annually to file a Form 700, which is a fairly involved process for some people. But for you, I'm happy to report that it is not that involved. You do have to do it at normally April 1st of every year. In addition, you have to file one when you leave office, and more relevant for where we are now, you have to file one when you enter office. So since IIA is a new school, you are now, all of you, in the position of having to file because you're taking office, either as board members or members of lead members of staff. So this is something that is kept at the school, but your authorizer, OCDE, also requests, and any member of the public can view these documents, they're public documents, but OCDE is requesting copies of them. So all of the forms that you will be filling out will be kept at the school, but they will also be, a copy of each will be sent to your authorizer, the Orange County Department of Education. So the other relevant document, as I mentioned to you earlier, is the conflict or interest code that you approved when you, it was filed when you wrote your charter petition. So it was approved when it was approved by the county. And that conflict of interest code dictates what you have to report out on your Form 700. So for anybody who's got the FPPC website open and looking at the form, there are a number of attachments or exhibits that are potentially requested by the Form 700 and by the FPPC. In the case of IIA, you have stipulated in your conflict of interest code that in Exhibit B, in Exhibit A, it says that what I just said earlier, which is that all board members and leading members of staff have to fill it out. You designated that yourself in your conflict of interest code. That is very similar to any other charter schools, or for that matter, school districts conflict code. In Exhibit B, you've designated which categories you should be reporting out. And there are 3 categories, 1, 2, and 3. But they all specifically delineate the reporting categories to only investments or real estate investments or stock holdings of companies that are doing business with Irvine International Academy. So unlike, the governor, or perhaps the Secretary of State or legislator, where it might be a little more broad, you are only required to report out those investments that are specifically related to companies doing business with IIA, with IIA itself, which of course, it's a nonprofit, so there is no real stock holdings or shareholdings. But really, they're trying to get at what conflicts you may have as board members should you have an interest in or an income provided by a company that's doing business with the school, or perhaps a neighboring property, if you were going to expand on that property. So without having spoken to each of you board members individually, I am fairly confident, but you have to make the judgment yourselves based upon your own personal shareholdings and income from many companies. But I'm fairly confident that you would already have known if there was a potential conflict of interest with any company that you owned or part owned that was doing business or planned to do business with IIA. And if the answer is no to any of those categories, that is to say, if none of you have any income in or shareholder stock in any company that's doing business, you can answer none in the item on the first page that says no, nothing to report. And therefore, Form 700 becomes a simple one-page document. It must be signed and as I said, delivered to the school, as well as the school delivering it to OCDE. But that is your obligation to fill out that top page and any other schedules if I'm mistaken, and if you do happen to have income from or stock in a company that's doing business with IIA. And I'll just stop there and see if there are any questions, because I just gave you a lot of information.
Thanks, Nick. I have a question. For jurisdiction of office, do we put City of Irvine?
It's actually
Other?
in your conflict code, it delineates the district. So it's actually the district lines, which might be the same as the city lines, but it's the district.
Okay, thank you. And then in terms of this type of statement, and it's got annual or assuming office.
Assuming office.
When we assume the office, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're going to have to do this all over again around April 1st. Because that's when you have to do it annually, is on or around April 1st. So this one is a little late, but that's not your fault. It's because the school just started. So the next one will come up it'll come up right away. And it should probably be another agenda item for your March meeting, just as a reminder.
Thank you, Nick. And let's do that too, Mary Beth. We'll just tag for the March meeting that we remind board members to submit a Form 700. Board members, everybody okay within about the next week getting those to the superintendent for school filing and then a copy to the county?
Yes.
Not a problem.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then Nick, if someone has a particular singular question on theirs, can they trade some emails with you?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to answer any emails. My email address is nick.driver@clearthinking.com.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, it was great to have your background and expertise and code that. Next on our agenda, Dr. Scott has developed a relationship with Irvine University and the University of California, Irvine. I want to hear the update on that. And then he's asked for us to affirm or approve the relationship that he described last time and now took the next step to develop. Dr. Scott, would you summarize for us? We'll see if there's discussion and then we'll go for a motion.
Okay, is Dr. Kim available? Are you here this evening? I didn't see her name. Okay, so Dr. Kim and came to us and Rebecca Goldstone with the desire to begin a relationship with Irvine International Academy. They have other schools that they'll also be working with, but I think they see something unique in the approach of our education dual immersion. Specifically, they want to do a reading program, SRSD Plus, that they've had a lot of success with our first and second grade English teachers. The program is, everything is prepared. Lesson plans are prepared. UC Irvine is paying for substitutes. They're even, the teachers are receiving a stipend to participate for the time that they're giving as well. And it will take place, instruction will be 3 times a week. We saw some results that they showed us where writing was greatly increased in its specificity and quality before and after. The School of Education will be leading this. And it also opens the door for us to have more experiences with the School of Education, which we're very excited about, working with some of their teachers. or student teachers. There's no risks in the study. Everything is funded by UC Irvine. They even asked us something uniquely. They asked if they could hold meetings at our school site. They said it'd be far more convenient for the students, the other teachers that are participating. So we'll actually be a school site to host meetings as a group. I'm sorry you didn't get to meet Dr. Kim or Rebecca Goldstone. They're wonderful educators, and they've come and talked with Stephen and I. Stephen, did you want to add any comments?
Sure, briefly. So it's about the literacy. They already have successful model in other school and would like to add a partnership with our school. So they are very hopeful that our student will make progress while our teacher adopt this successful model. So it's a win-win situation.
Both board members' thoughts, comments. We've seen this evolve to this point. I have one, just I'll jump in with. Is there a formal letter of understanding that we need to draft with them? They've done this with others apparently, but you know, we have a financial commitment that is involved. Tell me about those, either a formal letter of understanding or financial commitment.
I would like to send a formal letter of understanding, an MOU, but there is no cost to us. That is a big plus. There will be a letter sent home to parents by the teachers in our school for the children to participate, a permission of sorts. This is not a guinea pig. This is a proven program that we're going to be working with. I particularly like how it's not a burden on our teachers because they're providing slides, materials, everything needed.
Dr. Scott, this is Ethan. Just one my question is, how long is the this study to be lasted? How long will it last for?
Stephen, do you know? I don't see it offhand.
I remember you will end until May. Yeah.
Okay. Edward Watson, this is some of your background and specialty. Any thoughts or insight from you?
Yeah, it is. I think it was pretty clear what was said. I read the thing that had been sent home already. I don't have any thoughts right offhand. I'm sure I have some questions a little bit later that I might bring up. But unfortunately, I don't have anything right now for this program, or actually just one. This sounds like it's non-intrusive. There's no one that's going to be in the classroom. Is that correct? It's just going to be they're providing the teachers with materials and pedagogical techniques. Is that correct?
I'm not for sure, but I'd agree mostly. I do know the instructors from UC Irvine will participate in some degree. And to answer a question earlier, it says it will be about 45 minutes, 3 days per week for 12 weeks during school. So if it goes on longer, that'd be wonderful, but we'll see.
Stephen, do you know if it will be as Board Member Watson asked, if it's primarily focused on the teachers, or will they also supplement in the classroom?
My understanding is that they will come to observe and about how our teacher deliver the instruction, and then offer professional development, three sessions to train our teacher to deliver the pedagogy. They want our teacher to do that. Then there will be a comparison between the class being delivered with their specific pedagogy and the one without that, to show their result, how different it is. And so our teachers will be the one to teach, not their professors.
Thank you. Wonderful. Any other comments before I ask for a motion that we approve the relationship developed by the superintendent and principal, and ask them to go ahead and create a memo of understanding as we've described. Other questions before I make that motion? Great, I'll make that motion then that we affirm and approve the superintendent and principal to formalize the relationship in a memo of understanding. Could I ask for a second, please?
Ethan will second.
Thank you. Both in, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Great update. It's nice to see these things over a couple board meetings evolve and then come to fruition. So thank you. Next is a discussion. There's no action on it, but a parent raised it. And so Dr. Scott, you've been keeping your finger on the pulse of the state intentions. They're not requirements yet, but the state has signaled to our governor that student immunizations may be a guideline, may become an actual mandate, and there are some exemptions. Do you want to comment on the status right now, and then what you would like the board to do as far as research so that we can respond with a policy at some point?
Well, the most important consideration I have is that we follow state law, and that includes mandates I may not agree with. And in this movement to immunize children 5 years old and older, there are some legal choices that parents can make. So I'm researching that to put together a letter. The most important thing that we always understand as a charter school is that this is a parent choice school, and we want to keep the options open for the parents as much as possible, no matter which side of an issue they take. The school, in my view, is about leadership, and we want our parents to be heard. So I'll be drafting a letter to submit to the board concerning the legal requirements, the legal exemptions for if the state goes forward with a mandate for children to be vaccinated.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you getting ahead so we're not reacting and we have the chance to together craft what we think fits well. And like you said, number one thing is we're going to be within the law as a school of public school. Today, what I thought I'd do is just hear some board members if they have some thoughts or comments. They don't have to be anything in particular. Maybe you're just framing the issue a little bit in your mind, creating the poles of tension that exist. The way forward, though, is when Michael gives us his research and benefit and information, then you can reply to him singularly, but not to the whole board. What we talk about as a board will be in public session next time, but you have you can interact with him individually. That's expected, especially as you read up and do that. But that was nice. A parent was on the same page earlier in public comments. Board members, any thoughts or comments on this topic? It's one I think quite a bit about, but I don't have a whole lot more to say on the topic other than what I heard from the superintendent at this moment. But how about you? What have you been thinking about this, contemplating it? Do you feel good that we're addressing it now?
Doug, I think we have to address it, right? But we need to get a policy, right? That's the biggest thing, and then the board can react.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Some of you know this too. I wear a second hat. I'm a California attorney as well. I take calls every week from pilots, from school teachers, from students going into college on this topic. And so I've endeavored to learn what I can learn, but I'm willing to learn even more. And so the work that Dr. Scott's doing, gathering the state requirements, the potential exemptions parents can exercise, all of that will be really good for us to consider. I like this board. It's a fairly diverse board, and we're going to end up with a good policy that fits our parents well. any other thoughts on that? There's no action to take. I just thought it's a good discussion before we move on. We only have one other item. I've taken item 4 off for right now, so we'll just go to 5. No other thoughts then. Let's move to 5, which is this. It's a bit of an update, but it's an approval also because in that special ed services, the school psychologist role has been fulfilled. Either Michael or Stephen, you want to share with us just again briefly on this item, what we've done? Then I'll ask the board to move to approve the contract for the on-site psychologist.
Please, Stephen, go right ahead.
So this is another agency I spent time to communicate with them to make sure that if the plan A doesn't work, then we have plan B in place. So after negotiating with them, they were able to provide highly qualified candidates regarding the special ed services and counseling and school psychology services. And just like other independent vendor, we do need to sign a contract, and all the details are included in the contract as board member probably already see. And my understanding is that we were able to negotiate with the hourly rate for the special ed teacher, $85 per hour. And for school psychologists, it just average charge around $100 or $105. And currently we did the need assessment for our student population. Currently, we think it will be sufficient for our special ed teacher to stay on our site 3 days a week. Each day will be 4 hours, so 12 hours per week. That will meet our students' need for the special ed services. And then for the school psychologist, we are planning to have her, Tabitha, on our site 2 days a week and 4 hours a day. So we will be able to provide and meet the requirement per student's IEP plan.
Thank you. Keep your microphone available if you would to board members. Thoughts, questions, clarification. Are we then approving a contract for a single individual or 2 individuals?
It will be 2.
Okay.
Currently, we interview 1, and Michael signed the agreement, and then we have 2 candidates for the special ed teacher. And we have to see how the interview goes.
Okay, great. So would the motion today will be for the first one to approve the school psychologist, is that right?
And also to approve to this agency as one of our vendors.
Okay, great. We can do them as separate motions board members, curiosity about budget impact. We hear the scope works for our school. Any question about budget impact, if it works within our budget?
Can I elaborate that part?
Please.
So we used to hire a full-time school psychologist, and her salary, annual salary, is around $100,000.
Stephen, I'm sorry. Didn't you mean a special education teacher full-time?
Yeah.
Okay.
For these 2 candidates, I think it's less than that cost.
Thank you. That's what I suspected. Brett, thoughts?
Just to connect some of the dots. So last time we were talking about effectual education, is that right? For a school psychologist, and then maybe the special ed teacher, Bill Evans, was going to be under Mark Hopkins potentially, right? And now we're switching gears, is that right? To a new group, to Tabitha and her group, is that right?
That's correct, both women. And if possible, I would like to talk to board members respectfully regarding that.
Yeah, feel free.
Oh, not now, later.
Oh, later.
Yeah,
Sorry.
in private.
Sorry about that. No,
And
thank you. And we've been.
Brad, if I could just add a quick statement. What Stephen has managed to do is expand our vendors. So, and the option of an on-site psychologist is what he's opened up. And we, just like Bill Evans cannot be on site, that's why Stephen's trying to fill with a special education teacher part-time that we can have on site. We only have 6 to 8 students that qualify for a special education teacher instead of a full load of 30. So what Stephen's accomplished is to give us more options.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if the effectual education was off the table now and it's just being replaced.
Not necessarily. They may have options that we later need. But this is a very good one and a good price point as well. He's negotiated some good prices.
They're when we need them, right?
Yes, the psychologist, we're talking about 8 hours a week, but it's flexible because it's through the agency.
I meant the previous two.
Sexual.
Yeah, we call them when we need them. These
That's
ones
correct.
on a schedule. So that's great. Thank you for listening to the board. Some board members brought up the imperative for on-site, and I know that challenged you guys to find them, and you found them. So let's do these as separate motions. First, I'd like to move that we finalize then or approve the contract that's been written for the school psychologist. We'll get to the next motion in a second. Is there someone that would second that, approving the contract for the school psychologist? Second. All then in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Good, we have our psychologist. The second is then the agreement that we want to establish with the agency. We're not committing to a dollar amount yet, but we just want that established as Stephen then interviews 2 of the candidates. And again, I'd love to make that motion that we continue to have Principal Chung interact with agency to provide would we call them education services specialists? Is that kind of the rough term that you're going to hire? Great. So I move that we allow him to continue to negotiate and interview, and then he can bring back a contract to the board, so long as it fits in that overall budget, which it looks like it is. That was wordy. Sorry. I know you can make sense of it. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Brett. All then in favor, by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Great. Thank you, Principal Chung. Please do move forward with that. That completes our agenda for the board in this part. Now it's time for any board recommendations, if you have them, either just comments to our superintendent or principal that you want, chartering them with any tasks prior to adjournment. Any board member recommendations?
I just had a comment or a question. It was a parent who mentioned some behavior that they saw within their classroom, or that the kids have seen or experienced. And I'm just wondering how we can look into that and address it. I know we're trying to onboard school psychologists, but what the process is for dealing with that proactively.
Thank you. And yeah, let's ask for an update on that from our principal and superintendent. They can look into this particular situation and apprise us what they discover. And then, like you said, Brett, we want to know there's a underlying process that addresses that concern. So would you be willing to take that as a task, Dr. Scott, and work with Principal Chung? Because there is a situation, if you can investigate it, just let us know what's there and then how this would fit into normal processes, or if we need a new one. That work for you, Brett?
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you for remembering that. Us hearing what the parents say and getting attentiveness on those is key as we continue to develop our trust with all in the school. So thank you. Board members, any other recommendations in your mind?
This is Board Member Watson. Someone also mentioned it seems like the website is in flux. Apparently, maybe on some computers it's updated and others it's not. So just want to express that concern as well to make sure everything is above board on the website and viewable for everyone. Because it appears that that's not the case still.
Yeah, thank you. And I see Dr. Scott writing, and I know that's on his task list. We meet by phone fairly often, and so that's on his top 10 list. So thank you for that reminder. Great. Any others? Ethan, might need to unmute for one moment.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Doug. One thing would be is to possibly streamline the after school payment process. So that's something that I believe Kara and her team are working studiously, and looking forward to seeing more progress on that. But good job so far.
Great, and thank you for that reminder. Kara presented to Ethan and the financial team a better way to handle parent payments, and they vetted together those during our meeting and greenlit that. So as soon as that's implemented, the next round of after school enrollment will really be even better and easier to manage internally. So yeah, great reminder.
One other question, is when will the education committee ramp up? So for the finance committee, we are looking about how the money should be properly allocated. I believe the education committee will be really steering what is the value proposition and really hammering what is the certain type of education services.
That's on me. That's an update for me as part of the board governance committee. And so I'll get back to you and board members on our progress on that. I believe Edward Watson championed that. I'm a little bit overdue, so forgive that, but I have not forgotten that at all. I have had initial conversation with PTO as well, our president. So I'll keep working and update everybody. That's my to-do more than Dr. Scott's. Great. Others before I ask for a motion for adjournment?
One more thing, President Houston. So my understanding is that we'll be audited by OCDE before next board meeting. So I think it will be better to keep board members in the loop that what we will be audited.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So that's is that actually scheduled, or is it just a time frame that they commit they will do during the next month?
Mary Beth, do you have all the details?
Yes, I do. It's in the letter, but I don't have it offhand. I will send it to you.
Thank you. If you would give that to each of us, thank you. That's important. We also have on our to-do list a school site committee. I know that Dr. Scott, Principal Chung are working on that as well. That's a charter requirement. So great. Well, then could I ask a board member for a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Second, please.
Ethan seconds.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Ethan was nice. You and Brett were your hands were up equally, but you spoke up, so you get it. All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? I want to thank again parents. Parents, your comments early on. Thank you. Thank you. And your participation, staying with the board meeting this long, especially when someone's internally focused on training. We're grateful. Hopefully we say it enough because it's how we feel about you. And Nick Driver, our special guest and consultant, thank you for the training today. Other guests, thank you. That'll conclude our meeting. Again, have a great evening. See you on campus or otherwise.
Thank you.